I've never driven this car in the rain before, and now I'm driving it in absolutely, for the first time, oh my God, torrential rain. What it's like driving an old Westfield in the rain. It's interesting. It's very exciting. Going through a bit of a flood now. Oh God. Oh God. So there are gaps everywhere, various parts of the roof. There is water spraying up from the underside where the wheels are shooting water up, which I've blocked using my coat. But I've also got water coming up under the doors, and the problem is there are floods, as you can see. I'm driving through some pretty flooded roads, so I've got air and water, cold air and water coming up through the gaps down here. See water down there, look, see that spraying up. Mind you, it's such a boiling hot day that actually it's quite nice having this water spray through the car. I'll show you the wipers, which are, you know, not really doing a hell of a lot, but they do make a sort of a difference. It's comfortable, all the lights are on. I've got the daylight running lights, or dipped partial lights on. When I was a kid, I used to love, in the rain, putting a tent up in the garden and sitting in the tent when it was raining. I used to be so excited about that, and this is just like that. I'm now literally driving this car not only through rain, it's now turned into torrential rain, and we've got thunder and sheet lightning flashing across the skies. So we've gone from a couple of hours ago when I took this car out with no roof on it to this. The only thing I'm really worried about is if I hit a really bad flood, because this car is so low to the ground with its tiny little wheels, that if this thing hits some kind of flood, I'm in serious trouble, because it's just going to flood the engine. Yeah, we've got flash lightning, thunder and torrential rain. My goodness, I'm pretty sure this car was not built to be driving in this kind of weather, but so far it's doing a great job. We're nice with dry interior. Even with this gap in the roof on both sides, there's no real water coming in, it's just flowing straight past it. Now got to get through. Unfortunately, we've got massive flooding here. I'm now driving through a massive flood going on the other side of the road. We're through it. Managed to get through it now. I can feel water coming onto my feet. So water's coming up on the underside of the car onto my feet now. This is getting quite bad. It's getting pretty scary, to be honest. Oh dear. I've never driven this car in the rain before, and now I'm driving it in absolutely, for the first time, oh my God, torrential rain. Absolutely torrential rain. Now the thing is, to keep in mind, this car does not have things like ABS brakes, traction control, none of that. And of course, what you have to, I don't know if you saw that flash lightning there, oh my God. But the thing is, if you hit a skid plane, there's nothing to stop this car just completely skidding out of control. So I've got to be so careful. I'm making sure thanks to my motorcycle training, I'm using a lot of those rules about keeping massive distance from the car in front, constantly looking at the road for any potential skid points. This has gone from sheer excitement to sheer fear, I've got to be honest. I keep getting water coming through onto my feet. Obviously there are holes in various places in the car, and of course it's steaming up, as you can see, because there's no air vents as such other than the air coming through into the cabin. And I keep feeling like my head's wet, but I think that's just due to the sweat through the panic rather than anything else. Oh dear. I do remember seeing James May in one of the Grand Tours driving a Caterham through much worse conditions than this in theory.
Oh, shitty death.
But actually, at least he had the sun out and reasonably dry weather. This is just absolutely frightening. I'm trying to stick now to the main roads. I've took a diversion, I'm keeping to the main roads where I'm hoping the flooding's going to be at minimal. And I'm going to try and go through a few town centres as well to minimise the potential of a flood. This has been, I think exhilarating is one word I'd use. Pretty scary is the other. Not home yet though. It's now getting pretty dark. Not home yet. But from the positive side, I'm still dry. Engine pressure, oil pressure, engine temperature, lights, everything all working. Because it sits so low to the ground, as you might be able to tell with the camera, any car headlights, especially when it's raining, just blind you even when they're on dip. Oh, well, we're home. I have just driven this car through thunder, lightning, torrential rain and flooding, and everything's running absolutely bang on. Engine pressure's perfect, engine temperature perfect. It's just absolutely bang on. It's pretty dry in here. There's been a little bit of water coming through on this side through the bottom there, but otherwise it's pretty dry. You can't see my feet, but there is some water down that has come through my feet. But otherwise, I'm pretty dry. But I must be honest, I'm glad to be home. That was exciting's one word, absolutely frightening's probably a better one. I must admit, I really was panicking when driving through those floods yesterday. It really is a terrifying experience, if I'm honest, being in this car during severe weather. Basically because you can't see anything. The doors completely steam up, the windscreen steams up, and there's no windscreen blower, so all you can do is keep wiping it with your hands all the time. And because the doors are so poor with general visibility anyway, the fact that that's steamed up makes it even more frightening. The sun came up this morning and it has dried the roof off. Unfortunately, the carpets though are still absolutely soaking wet, and whilst I can get the carpets out of the footwell and put them out to dry, which is what I've done, I can't actually get the carpets out from underneath the seats, because basically the seats are bolted down over the top, so I can't get any carpets from under the seats, and that's soaking wet. So now, while the weather's still dry, and it's only going to be dry for about another hour, having left the car standing for 3 or 4 hours this morning in the sun, I'm now driving it to get the air blasting through the car. So I've taken the doors off, taken the roof off, and I'm now blasting around the countryside for about an hour to give this car time to dry out. I'm so glad that this car is still running well.